What's up everybody, welcome to my channel where I will help you level up your skills to become one of the best DBAs. In this video today, you'll learn the skills required to schedule and automate tasks in Azure SQL database. If you are familiar with SQL Server on-premise, you would have realized that the SQL Server agent is missing in Azure SQL database. So in this video today, I will be sharing with you exactly how you can achieve your automation goals. This video has been taken from my course on Udemy, Microsoft Azure SQL Database Administration. A link to that course will be in the description of this video. So guys, this video has been broken up into two parts. First, I'll be explaining automation accounts, and then I'll be giving you the practical steps on how you can automate your jobs, whether it be tasks like database maintenance, such as index rebuild and statistics updates. Or maybe you just want to schedule a store procedure to run against your database, right? So at the end of this video, you'll learn how to do all of that. So with that said, let's head over to my laptop and get started. Azure Automation Account is a service provided by Microsoft Azure that allows you to automate various tasks and processes within your Azure environment. It can be thought of as a central hub for all your automation tasks, providing a single location to create, manage, and execute automation scripts and workflow. Within an automation account, you can create various types of automation assets including runbooks, variables, and credentials. Runbooks are scripts that allows you to perform specific actions such as starting or stopping a virtual machine, scale up or scale down resources, or even deploy software updates. Variables and credentials are used to store data and can be used within your runbooks. You will see this when we are doing the demonstration. It also provides a powerful scheduling engine that allows you to schedule your runbooks to run at a specific time or intervals. This can help you automate routine tasks such as backups, system updates, and schedule resource scaling. In addition to scheduling, Azure Automation Accounts also provides a monitoring and reporting feature that allows you to track the status of your automation task and troubleshoot any issues that may arise. You can review execution logs, performance metrics, and error reports to help you identify and resolve issues. Another important feature of Azure Automation Account is that it supports source control integration. Now, this allows you to control your runbooks and manage changes over time, just like you would in any other code base. This can be useful especially when you're working with large complex automation tasks that requires frequent updates. Overall, Azure Automation Account is a powerful tool that helps you automate and streamline tasks in your Azure environment. Whether you're looking to automate routine tasks or manage complex workflows, Azure Automation Account provides flexible and scalable solution that can help you get the job done. In this lecture, I will be demonstrating how you can automate processes in Azure SQL using runbooks. I will be creating a runbook that is used to rebuild indexes nightly. Now, to achieve this, you need to know a little bit of scripting, but don't panic. I will be providing the script that you can use to automate a lot of your processes on the database level. So you need to know a little PowerShell. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do is create an automation account. You can search for it in the resource section. Here, I am going to access it from my Azure services. To create an automation account, select Create Automation Account. Choose your subscription, your resource group, and a name for your automation account. I will be calling this Teach Them Automation. Select your region and then select Review plus Create. Review all the information and then select Create. Once the creation is completed, select Go to Resources. Under Process Automation, select Runbooks. Here we have two default runbooks. You can create a runbook, import a runbook, or browse a gallery to search for existing runbooks. So for example, if you search for SQL, you'll see predefined runbooks that you can use. So I'm going to select Close here. So I'm going to exit because I am not going to be importing a runbook. So select Create Runbook. Specify a name for your runbook. I will be calling this Rebuild Indexes. For your runbook type, select PowerShell. You can choose Python, PowerShell Workflow, Graphical PowerShell, or Graphical PowerShell Workflow. So we're going to be using PowerShell workflow. You can keep the runtime version as version 5. The description is optional. So the next step is to select create. Here you basically have an empty template. I have an existing code that I will be using here. You want to ensure that the name of the workflow is the same as the name of the runbook that you created. So here is the parameters section where I specified some mandatory parameters because I'll be setting the default. So this is my server name, the database name that I want the index to be rebuilt on, and this is the SQL variable. So I'm going to rename this as rebuild indexes. So I now need to create a variable called rebuild indexes and place the script that I'll be using to rebuild the indexes on the database in that variable. So it will fall under the assets section. So when you expand assets, expand variables, you will see that I currently don't have any variables. Here I have a credential called SQL admin. However, the credential is not yet created, so I'm going to save the runbook here. So now I'll be going back to the automation section to create the variable and the credential. Select close to exit the window. Select close again to exit. Now scroll down to resource section. To create a variable, select variables and then add variables. So I will be calling this rebuild index script. So I'm just going to grab my script from Management Studio. So what the script does is that it selects all the fragmented indexes, store them in a temp table, and then loop through them individually, and then do a rebuild here. Now let's go back to the portal. I'm going to paste the variable here. So I'm going to select create. Now I need to create a login for the SQL admin that will be used to log into the database. So select credentials, select add credential, specify the name. In my case, it's SQL admin. It's the same for the username. Specify the password and then confirm the password. Once you are done, select create. Now let's go back to runbooks. Double click on the runbook to open it. Select edit. And now when you expand assets, expand variables, you will see the script that I created. And when you expand credential, you'll be seeing the SQL admin. So here I'm going to rename the variable name. In the inline script is where all the work is done. So here I'm just getting the values from the variables. So I'm getting the server name from the server name variable, user ID and password from the SQL credential, the DB name from the DB name parameter, and the query that will be sent to the database from the SQL variable. Now here I'm just creating a connection to the database. So I'm initializing the connection string with the parameters that are required, such as the server name, the DB name, the user ID, and the password. Here I am simply opening the connection. Once this line is completed successfully, then it will go on to say connection to database is opened. Here I am setting up the database command, which is the SQL query and the connection. Here in this line, the execute scalar is now executing the command at the database level. And here we catch any exception that occurred, and in the final block, we are closing the connection. You can do a test before you publish your runbook by selecting the test pane. So here, if you wanted it to run on another database server, then you'll specify the server name, the database name, as well as the SQL variable. So here I'm going to select start. The job has been completed. Now, if when you run this job and you got an error, you need to add the IP for the automation account to the database firewall, or you can enable access from Azure services. Once the error is shown, you will see the IP in the section. So we have no error to correct, so I'm going to select close here, and I'll be publishing this runbook. Select yes to proceed. So because we want this job to be executed nightly, we need to create a schedule and then schedule the runbook. So we'll select schedules, select add schedule, select link schedule to your runbook, select add schedule, specify your name. I'm going to call this nightly. You can specify the start date, and for the time I'm going to put 12 AM. For reoccurrence, I'm going to select reoccurring, select your time zone. I need to change my start date and set it to the 28th because 12 a.m. has gone already, so this will run tonight. Then select create. Here you have the option to configure different parameters for your runbook. That is in the event you didn't specify any default parameters. So if I select configure parameters and run, here I can set the server name that I want the runbook to run against, the database name, as well as the SQL variable. So if you created another schedule, right, and you wanted to utilize this same runbook to execute another task, then you could do the same thing. Instead of duplicating the script, you create the schedule, specify the server name, the DB name, and the variable that you want to be executed. So I'm going to select OK here. So now our automation runbook has been successfully scheduled. To run a playbook manually, you can always go to the overview page and then select start. It will ask you for the same parameters we saw earlier. And then once you do that, you select OK. So I'm going to head over to Management Studio now and create a simple script to insert data within a table and then use the runbook to insert that data. So here I have a simple table called date time. I am going to execute it. And here I have a simple insert statement that insert the current date. So I'm going to execute it to insert a simple record to ensure everything is working in the table. So let's refresh the tables. So I'm going to right click on the table and select top 1000 rows. You can see I have one record which was inserted. Now I'm going to take this insert script. You cannot use a go in the runbook. So I'm just going to copy this portion of the script. Now I'm going to head over back to the portal. So I'm just going to create a variable. So I need to exit this section as well. Select the variables option. Select add variable. Specify the variable name. I'm going to call this insert data. Specify the value. Let me just grab the name and then select create. Now let's go back to the runbooks. Select the rebuild indexes runbook. Select start. Here we only need to specify the variable name. Select OK. Under essentials, it is showing a job status as starting. So the job has completed. Let's check on the output. Now let's check our database to see if the data was inserted. Let's do a select top 1000, select top 1000 rows, and here we have the second record being inserted successfully. Utilizing runbooks is a great way to automate repetitive database tasks.